All right, so what's the point of a key performance indicator? What's the intent of really measuring work that we do? So let's take a step back and say, here's what a definition of a metric is. Okay, it's a standard of measurement by which efficiency, progress, performance, or quality of a plan, process, or product can be assessed. So metrics are what we use to measure and assess. What's a KPI? Well, KPI is a measurable value that demonstrates how effectively a company is achieving those key business objectives. Organizations use these KPIs all over the place. They throw them all over the place. They're designed to give us feedback on whether we're on track or not. But there's also a misconception about the key performance indicator, and I want to try to clear some of that up. Okay, the only reason to have a key performance indicator is to drive a certain type of behavior. Right? So if I want people to act in a particular way, if I want people to be more collaborative, then I don't want to measure performance based on things that are normally competitive. So I don't want you to be the best. I don't want you to have the biggest number of output because that drives competitive behavior. So how then do I measure something like collaboration? Well, that's something you and the team have to collaborate on to decide. But the key thing to keep in mind is if you're not getting the behavior that you want as a leader, I guarantee it's because you're measuring the wrong things. And we have a bad habit of going in and saying, here's all the things we want to measure, and here's all the indicators, and just putting them out there and having people start working toward them when people don't have any control over those things, so they don't understand what they're trying to do. They don't understand what they can do to influence the number. So keep this in mind, okay? Behavior comes after a deliberate thought. And after the behavior, there's always some result or some consequence. So we've got this loop that goes thought, action, consequence, thought, action, consequence. Between the thought and the action is when we decide we're going to do something. And that thought may not be very good. Okay, it might be an impaired thought that leads us to do certain things. But studies show that we don't take any action without a deliberate thought, right? So after the action, there is going to be some consequences, some result. It could be a positive or it could be negative. And if it's positive, we generally learn that we want to repeat that, and that affects our thinking. So if I do that again, I become conditioned to doing things this way because I want to continue getting that result. If it's negative, it's supposed to make me stop. But if it's applied wrong, we've seen that before. So what we have is the KPIs drive that action. Good scoreboards and recognition systems and rewards are the consequences we want to enhance. And then the system becomes a learning platform as we continue these loops of continuous improvement. Keep these in mind. When we're trying to drive change, we want people to change the way they think. But I can't just tell you something and expect you to change your mind. But I can redo the work so that it requires you to do the work differently. Even if you don't believe that's the right way to do it, I can require that and measure the result, show you that put some rewards and consequences in place to show you that doing it this way does actually work better. And as you see these results accumulate, that's going to shape your thinking going forward. Alan Deutschman calls it relate, repeat, reframe. So most change starts with a new relationship, whether it's my relationship to a leader or my relationship with the work and the way we're measuring that work. I got to have a new relationship that refocuses things. And I got to repeat a new set of behavior long enough to make it a habit. And then when that habit becomes just a reaction, then I know that I can reframe the way I think about this. And he wrote all those in a book called Change or Die, which I'll probably touch on that in a future session, but it's a great little book. So remember, the key point is to drive behavior. If you're not getting the behavior you want, it's because you're measuring the wrong things. We often have competing demands from different people, and that causes confusion. If I've got one group that is competing for resources by what we're measuring here, and another group that's competing for the same resources we're measuring here, then we're going to end up ripping the organization apart. So we've really got to see this from a system perspective, and we got to see this from a functional work perspective. And they all need to be objective and measurable, because if you can manipulate it, people are going to find a way to do it. So just keep them simple, keep them current, keep them objective, and you should be good. Remember those key areas: safety, people, quality, delivery, cost, impact. In many organizations, especially lean organizations, we talk about safety, quality, delivery, cost, SQDC. SQDC. Well, I want to reframe your thinking about lean and put people first. Safety and people are both people metrics, people objectives. And we're trying to keep people safe. We're trying to develop people's skills. Focus on those, lead with those, and then the other ones will start developing the behaviors that we need as we go forward. Okay, next up, we're going to talk about tiered visual management and a team board at tier 1.